welcome to Weird Stories from the Bible, Halloween edition. Now I say Halloween edition because, there's not a lot of talk in the Bible, believe it or not, about life after death, or what happens to you after death. Oftentimes we as Christians think that the Bible is full of stuff about heaven and what happens when people die and all of that, but really there's not a lot in there. So our story today comes from the book of 1 Samuel, and it is about Saul. Now remember Saul, he was king of Israel right before David. So in this story, he has lost favor with God. God is not by his side anymore. He's doing bad things, and God's not very happy with him. And you remember his advisor was Samuel, and Samuel has died. So he is feeling like he doesn't have anybody to talk to. He doesn't know what to do. He's been calling out to God, and God is not answering. And so that's kind of the backdrop to this. The other thing you should know is Saul had expelled all of the mediums and wizards in the land. Like he said that they were not holy and they were against God's, idea of how things should be. And so he expelled them all. But in this story, Saul decides to go to see a medium. So Saul just disregards his own edict against sorcery, and he decides to go see a medium because he really needs to talk to Samuel, who has died. And let me read you a bit of this. This is from 1 Samuel chapter 28, and I'm going to read you a little bit here. So when Saul saw the armies of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart troubled greatly. So he knows that, God's not on his side, and here comes the bad guys. When Saul inquired of the Lord did not answer him, not by dream or by prophets, nothing. Then Saul said to his servant, "Seek out for me a woman who is a medium, so that I may go to her and inquire of her." His servant said to him, "There is a medium at Endor." So Saul disguised himself and put on other clothes and went there, he and 2 men with him. They came to the woman by night, and he said, "Consult a spirit for me, and bring up for me the one whom I name to you." And the woman said to him, "Surely you know what Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the wizards from the land. Why are you laying a snare for my life to bring about my death?" But Saul swore to her by the Lord, "As the Lord lives, no punishment shall come upon you." Then the woman said, "Whom shall I bring up for you?" I just imagined her saying that, kind of like, "Yeah, all right then, who do you want to talk to? I'll put the call through." He answered, "Bring up Samuel for me." When the woman saw Samuel, I guess it worked. When she saw Samuel, she cried out with a loud voice. And the woman said to Saul, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul." Gotcha. The king said to her, "Have no fear. What do you see?" The woman said to Saul, "I see a divine being coming up out of the ground." He said to her, "What is his appearance?" She said, "An old man is coming up. He is wrapped in a robe." So Saul knew that it was Samuel. I guess, I don't know how he knew that. And he bowed with his face to the ground. Then Samuel said to Saul, this is like my favorite part of the whole story, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Like I was dead. I was resting. Why are you bothering me? I think that's great. So then he goes on to say, Saul answered, "I am in great distress, for the Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me and answers me no more, either by prophets or by dreams. So I summoned you to tell me what I should do." This guy, he cracks me up. And Saul said, "Why then do you ask me, since the Lord has turned from you and become your enemy?" Like, why would I tell you if I know God's your enemy? "The Lord has done to you just as he spoke by me, for the Lord has torn the kingdom your hands and given it to your neighbor David. Because you did not obey the voice of the Lord and did not carry out his fierce wrath, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, the Lord has done this to you today. Okay. Moreover, the Lord will give Israel along with you into the hands of the Philistines. And tomorrow you and your sons shall be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. So that's not good news, to have a spirit tell you that you're going to be together with him tomorrow. Immediately, Saul fell on the ground, full length on the ground, filled with fear because of the word of Samuel. So I think this is an especially interesting story because in it we hear that not only is there a thing as mediums and wizards and sorcery, that the Bible acknowledges that and it says it's real and true, but there is a rule against it, a law against it. There's other places in the Bible it says don't consult a medium and things like that. But here, the king of Israel breaks this own rule and does it anyways. So that's your spooky ghost story from the Bible, although it's not that spooky. It's more humorous than anything, but there you go. See you next time for more weird stories from the Bible.